I need you to trust me. One last time.
Everything you've done has come to this. You gave him an aircraft carrier? Our lives are the sum of our choices. This is your calling, your destiny. I have no regrets. Neither should you. I need you to trust me. One last time.
We live and die in the shadows, for those we hold close, for those we never meet. It's a very somber mood in the Mission universe. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Movie Buddy. I'm your host, Josh Blumenkrantz. Today, I'm reviewing the maybe last, Mission Impossible film. That's right, I am reviewing Mission Impossible, the final reckoning. So first off, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. So if you have not seen Mission Impossible, the final reckoning, go ahead and pause this, come back, go see this on the biggest screen possible because I've seen this in IMAX 2 times now, one time in New York and the other time in LA. And my God, I was blown away both times because this is truly an accomplishment by Tom Cruise, Christopher McQuarrie, and the whole team behind these movies. This is like one of my favorite franchises of all time practically. And I was just like a little kid enjoying it, having the time of my life. But yeah, I'm diving full into this. So yeah, I'm excited. So what I'm going to cover basically is my review of this movie, what I liked, what I didn't like, and where this stacks across all of the other Mission Impossible movies. So without further ado, you accept this mission? Let's get into it. I'm kind of dividing this movie into 3 acts. So let's start with Act 1, which is basically exposition. So we get reintroduced to Ethan. He is in hiding, per usual, with every beginning of this movie, practically. He's talking to the president, saying, like, the world is really gone downhill and we need that key. And then you kind of see a montage of all the different mission movies. He's really been through a lot, Ethan Hunt. He's done so many different stunts. Truly, he's like a hero that nobody knows about. And so he gets reacclimated with Benji and Luther. They've been working together. Luther's like sick. I think he has like cancer, something like that. I don't know. He's working on like a poison pill that will stop the entity. And then Ethan, of course, he needs to find Gabriel. So he goes to the prison where you see Degas and you see Paris. But then him and Benji come and infiltrate. He convinces Degas to basically switch sides very easily. And Paris helps him out too. They go find Gabriel, and this is all kind of happening fast-paced, believe it or not, even though this movie is very, very long. It's almost 3 hours. So they get to London right after that, and we see Grace. Grace helps them out, but then they get trapped by Gabriel. It's all happening very quickly. This is like such a fast-paced like intro. And then basically Gabriel, he's gonna like kill Grace, but then Ethan escapes with like a really cool like seizure kind of thing, and then Ethan like kills his like henchman. Gabriel gets away, starts the intro. Boom, we're in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I love the intros. This one was cool. It's not like my favorite, but it's like it's the final one. But anyway, getting back on track with the story. Now we are chasing Gabriel. A lot of running, per usual, with the Mission movies. And then all of a sudden, there's the entity machine. And like Ethan kind of fuses with the entity. He's like seeing what's going on. He's like, I don't accept that. But then like he sees like all this stuff, what has to be done. He's kind of like the messiah, basically, of the entity, if you want to call it that. So he gets out. He tells Benji what has to be done very quickly. He writes it all down. And then boom, we're going. He has to save Luther. But Gabriel basically traps him and kind of forces him to basically stop a big explosion. And by doing so, he's going to cause a cave-in. And then Luther basically has to sacrifice himself to save everyone, which really sucks because he's been around like since the first movie. So it's kind of heartbreaking. I don't like the way it was like executed though. I wish this was done a little later on in the movie. It just happened so fast. But it's like, but Tom Cruise and Ving Rhames sell it. They sell it hard. Ugh, it's just emotional. But anyway, after Luther dies, Ethan has to get caught in order to kind of keep his plan going. We find out that Shea Wiggum's character is actually Jim Phelps' his son, which was a weird tie-in. I don't know why we needed this, but sure, whatever. It's Mission Impossible. They kind of look alike, but the age is weird. So he sees the president, Angela Bassett, saying like, you basically have to trust me. And that's the problem with this movie. There's so many characters, all these like figures that are in like the CIA, the army, all of this. It's like so many different people who don't have enough time to be developed. So, after all, Angela Bassett's character, the president, formerly the president of the CIA, now the president of the United States, is like, yeah, I'm going to let you have this aircraft carrier and everything you need. No problem. Even though she's acting like she doesn't, but she does. So he is like on a helicopter. He goes to the like aircraft carrier to see Hannah Waddingham's character. Now I love Hannah Waddingham. I think she's good in this movie to an extent, but she doesn't really do much. She has an American accent, which is just weird for me to see from Hannah Waddingham. But I don't know what the point of her being in this movie is, other than being the middle person that kind of arranges for Ethan to see Captain Bledsoe, which is a more interesting character, and I'll get to him very shortly. But it's like, why am I caring about this character? Why are we doing this? It just takes a while for this movie to get going. This is like about 45 minutes, almost to an hour in. But like once we get to the next act, then that's when things get cooking. So overall, the opening act, it's needed, but it's like if you never saw a Mission Impossible movie before, this helps you. But if you've seen the movie before, it's like we know this already. There's too many flashbacks. There's too many cutbacks to things we already seen. So some stuff that just happened, or the stuff that happened in Dead Reckoning, which we already saw. So I just didn't really see why there's so many flashbacks. It's like more than usual than in any Mission movie that I've ever seen. So that's Act One for you. Okay, now this is when the story takes a turn, but in a really fun, action-packed, exciting way. So Ethan is on a helicopter. He's getting away from the aircraft carrier. He jumps off into the water. Captain Bledsoe's team tasers him, takes him onto the sub. We see him himself, Captain Bledsoe, played by Tremel Tillman from Severance. Oh my God, my crowd lost it when he appeared. He has so much charm and such a great presence. He was just cool and suave, and I wanted to see more of that character because he was goddamn interesting. I loved him so much. So basically, Captain Bledsoe, he's going to help him out. Ethan's just kind of prepping. Of course, one of his henchmen is like, nope, you can't stop the entity. He's in on it. And then Ethan stops him, basically, because, he's Ethan Hunt. He's not going to die like this. And Katie O'Brien's character comes and saves him, which is pretty cool. She wasn't really in this movie that much. She was just kind of like the muscle, but, she's cool. I want to see her in more things. So basically, after that, Ethan is in the dive suit. He's ready to go underwater to the Sevastopol, the submarine, to go and get all of the data and everything. So, and that's when the movie's kicking into high gear, because then as soon as he starts turning the wheel of that door, the aspect ratio changes in the IMAX, and you are just fully immersed underwater with Ethan getting out of the sub. He's swimming. He almost hits the propeller on the submarine. It's crazy. It's like, this is one of the best underwater sequences I've seen like almost ever in a movie. It was wild. Like you kind of feel the like quietness and the not despair, but like the darkness that goes into this, and just it's very suspenseful. And then like every single set piece involved with this, it's just like the water comes in. He's like going down into the control room. He gets it. He turns the key. He gets it out. And now he has to get out of the submarine, which is like getting off of an underwater kind of cliff like thing. So he has to go into the torpedo like tube to kind of like protect himself. And then as it's falling down, he kind of uses the gravity and momentum to like get out of there. It's pretty crazy. But then he realizes like, oh, it's like getting too heavy, the suit. He's got to take it off. He's in ice cold water. And he basically, this is all part of the plan. He's supposed to basically die, but then he'll be revived back with a hypothermic chamber, which where I'm going to go back to the team, which is now the like kind of Arctic, and they run into William Dunlow, who was in the first movie. And it's kind of cool to see where this character went, because he's actually very funny. He has like a wife now, and he has to get the coordinate. They have to get the coordinates in order to like meet up with Ethan. Like all of this is like happening simultaneously. They all have to meet at the exact same time for this to happen. So they go and meet. And there's of course some like a shootout because like the team has to have some kind of fighting as well. And then eventually they overpower the Russian team. They do, and then Grace and Dunlow's wife they take some sled dogs to go and basically rescue Ethan. Grace does successfully do that. She kind of goes underwater, which is freezing cold. I don't know how she did that too. And then she revives Ethan. It's like very like romantic and like sweet in the chamber, and that's basically Act Two. It's more of a like the two teams are separate. They have their things they have to accomplish. Ethan gets what he needs out of the submarine, and the team gets the coordinates. They meet Dunlow, who's going to help them basically stop the entity. So this was more exciting second act because there was like fighting, there was like diving, a lot of water, a lot of snow, a lot of dogs, a lot of everything. It was a very vast movie that kind of just went all over the place, but in a more interesting way. It just finally kicked into gear. Like it's the adventure, it's the worldwide traveling. I love all of this stuff. Other than that, that was basically Act Two in a nutshell. I mean, uh, Paris, played by Pom Clementif, she's just like, I want to kill people and fight. And then like Degas, played by Greg Tarzan Davis, my boy, he's cool. He's just there. He's like, the good guy who wants to help the team out. He's just a newly added team member. And Grace, of course, is a very good thief and just wants to help the team and find Ethan, basically, as quickly as possible and saves his life, which is awesome. And that's pretty much Act Two. Yeah. So Act Two. And then this is why we come to the movies. Act Three, which was a thrilling, death defying act in this movie. So the team flies to Africa. They're all back together. They have to stop Gabriel. Time's running out. So they get there, and Gabriel is waiting for them with the poison pill. Of course, Ethan's plan is to give him everything because that's what the entity is kind of expecting, even though he's like going to try to change things. And then, of course, they get ambushed by freaking Jim Phelps and Kittredge. And like Kittredge in this movie, he's not as interesting compared to like in Dead Reckoning. I just kind of wish he had more to do. He's a good presence. I love him. He's really cool, but like I just wanted more, and I didn't get it from pretty much any of these returning characters. We have like some new ones, like Nick Offerman and like Jesus, like so many others that like I can't even remember the names just because they did not make that much of an impact on me. That's how much there's too many characters in this movie. But anyway, yeah, we're fighting, and then like Gabriel basically escapes, and Ethan's like, we gotta kill him now, and they of course don't. He gets in a jeep, and then Ethan's like, all right, I'm gonna go catch this guy. You guys have to go and cut your wires. Everyone has to do it at the same time. Grace has to basically snatch the thing at the blink of an eye because she's a thief. And so in the crossfire, Benji gets shot, and it's like, oh shit, is he gonna die? I mean, it's the last movie, but like, I didn't expect him to because like we already lost Luther. Why would we lose Benji too? That's just too much of a 1-2 gut punch. So they get to the control room, and Dunlow is like, I'm gonna cut you my wire. We have 10 seconds to get to the door. Tarzan's like, I'll stay behind, or Degas. I go by actor names. Yeah, and then like basically they gotta save Benji. Paris basically makes like an incision. He could breathe. He's kind of guiding Grace on what to do. Everyone's basically arranged where they need to be to cut this wire. And then Ethan, now this is the best part of the movie for me, is when Ethan catches up to Gabriel. Gabriel's in the yellow plane, and then Ethan gets into his henchman's red plane. And that's when the movie gets off the walls fucking awesome. Like he gets onto the wheel, he's in the plane, he knocks the other guy out, he's flying the other plane, and he just is like the wind that is going through Tom Cruise's face in IMAX. This is just like fully immersive scope in the air that I've ever seen an actor do, like on planes. And he's jumping from one plane to another, which is just insane. I'm like, wow, this is why we go to the movies. This is why you want to see it with a big crowd. You want to see it on the biggest screen possible, the sound, the visuals, everything. I love the airplane sequence. We got like other like sequences like this, like in Fallout, we had like the helicopter sequence, but this is like he's on the outside of the plane. This is with no parachute. This guy's fucking crazy. I love Tom Cruise. He's amazing. So he gets in Gabriel's plane, of course, and then he like breaks his arm, which is badass. And then Gabriel's like, "We're the only one. I'm the only one to parachute." And then all of a sudden he like falls back, and then he hits his head, and that's how he dies. This is a very comedic. He dies by his own hand, kind of a thing. So, and then of course Ethan, he is able to get everything he needs together to initiate the switch, and he is falling out of the plane. And then we're like, is he gonna die? Is this it? Is this the end of Ethan Hunt? No, of course not. He had a parachute, and he had a backup parachute. I don't know how he does it, but he makes it happen. He's Ethan Hunt. So everything's good. Grace snatches the thing in time. Everyone cuts their wires in time. The entity is contained, and that's basically the climax of the movie. And Ethan listens to the recording by Luther that he left for him in case something happens and this all over. And oh my god, it was emotional. It was like it sums up why Ethan does what he does and why he's part of the IMF. It's like for the people that he never meets, he's just going to be the unsung hero in the shadows. But that's enough because he's able to save mankind, and it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see. Oh, that was good. And then just like, he makes peace with Jim Phelps and Kittredge, and he gives them what they need. And then he meets up with the team later in London, and they all Grace gives him like I guess the entity. So like now Ethan has the power over to do whatever he wants with it. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see them kind of go off their own separate ways in the shadows. It's like, is this the end? Are they done? I don't know. It could come back, but it's a good send off for this character who's just done so much already, and it's a really cool send off, and I loved it. Ooh boy, and that's the end of the movie. um, all I could say is I know people are mixed on this movie. I mean, the consensus is the last act of the movie is just bona fide amazing. Like, I loved it. It took a while to get there, a really long time. I've seen this movie twice. I don't know if I'll see it a third time again in theaters, just because it's a journey. And like when you come out of the theater, you feel like you are on the adventure with these people. It was like truly mesmerizing, and it's not my favorite of the films. So I'm about to rank all the Mission Impossible films in order of how I love them. Fallout still is the best film of the franchise. It's a 10 out of 10. Rogue Nation, I'm going to say that is a 9 out of 10. It's the second best in my opinion, especially because Rebecca Ferguson is like amazing. You also have Dead Reckoning, which I put at a 9 out of 10 as well. I think it's like at first I wasn't sure when I first saw it the first time, but on rewatch it does get better and better. It's such a well cut film. A lot of the stunts are really cool. I mean, you have the motorcycle jump and you have the train fiasco. It's pretty cool, and I love like the introduction. I don't love the killing of Ilsa, who I was kind of hoping would come back in the Final Reckoning, or did she? I don't know. There's a woman walking with him at the end of the movie. People say it's Ilsa. Other people say you're crazy. It's not. But we saw Macquarie in there too, so like who the hell knows? I don't know. So that's Dead Reckoning, and then I have the Final Reckoning at an 8 out of 10. I still think it's a pretty amazing movie. It's not the best out of the franchise by any means, but it has those killer moments that just like take it over the top for me. Just that first 45 minutes to almost an hour, too much exposition, too much. And then after that, you got MI3 for me. Now, a lot of people think this movie isn't good, but it has the best villain, Philip Seymour Hoffman, in it, and I gave that an 8 out of 10 because I just think Mission Impossible 3 has more emotion, and I like what Ethan goes through as a character because he has like a wife, and then like Philip Seymour Hoffman is like a pretty scary villain. So it's just that kind of stuff for me works a lot. So yeah, that was my ranking for Mission Impossible 3. And then I have a Ghost Protocol that was also actually no, that's a 7 out of 10. On rewatch, it just didn't work for me as well as at other times I've seen that movie before. I love the like building scaling and everything. That's a really cool set piece. But other than that, the story itself is kind of mid. I just didn't like it. I mean, I like Paula Patton, but I don't know. That was Ghost Protocol. And then, of course, you got Mission Impossible, the original. I give that a 6 out of 10. It's definitely a product of its time. I mean, it was in like 1996. It has the good Black Vault break in, and that's where we saw Donlo, who I love seeing in the Final Reckoning once again. Like, just really did not expect how much I was going to love that character. But yeah, definitely a product of its time. And then, of course, the worst movie, and I still stand by this, is going to be Mission Impossible 2. I gave that a 6 out of 10, but still, most better than most action movies. John Woo directed it. It was just like, product of its time. But the movies get better after that. But those are my ranking of all of the Mission Impossible movies. That's it. The only thing I can kind of really say is that, like, for better or for worse, this is a franchise that will go on in history. From Mission Impossible 1 to Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. Like, Tom Cruise, the things that he's learned over the years to entertain us is truly remarkable. Like, the man has done his own stunts, jumped over so many things, motorcycles, fights, just the list goes on and on. But like, I just really appreciate the hard work he does to entertain an audience, and I just want the world to see that. So if you haven't seen any of the Mission Impossible movies, or if you're unsure, give it a chance. Keep going with it, and just be relentless with things that you do in life, because it's short and you just want to figure it out. We'll figure it out, as they say in the movie. But that's my review of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. If you like what you heard, go ahead and hit the subscribe button on the channel. I greatly appreciate your feedback and your support. And until next time, and remember, when you go to the movies, bring your buddy and talk about movies, especially Mission Impossible. Until next time, bye.